people who hog the middle lane on motorways have topped the list of drivers' pet peeves, according to the AA. You can currently be fined £100 or face 3 points on your licence if you're a middle lane moocher. But what do you think? Does it go far enough? We want to get your calls in right now, and we've got them coming in already. Paul is in West Sussex. I have to say, I think Susan's honesty, Paul, was absolutely formidable there, and I'm sure with me you will give her a big round of applause for being so straightforward and open. Am I correct?
You're definitely correct. 100% round of applause.
OK, brilliant. Now about you. Are you a middle lane moocher, Paul, or what do you think about it?
I don't know if I am or I'm not really. I mean, I do drive in the motorway occasionally, not like very often, but I do. And I live, obviously where I live, I need Gatwick Airport, so we've got the M25 near us. And that's always horrendous anyway, at the best part of times. And I do drive in the middle lane. I'll always try and get over to the left if I can, but usually it's always, pretty busy. So I'll either overtake on the right-hand lane or, go into the left-hand lane, but 9 times out of 10, I'll sit in the middle.
OK.
I don't really see a problem with it.
I
think if people... Sorry.
No, it's all right. I was going to ask you, how easy do you think this will be to enforce? Do you know when you've taken the mick, when you've stayed in that lane for too long? Do you know instinctively? Or is it, sometimes when you're dodging a junction, which is perfectly acceptable, you come out to make sure you don't get caught up in that traffic? That's a safe thing to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of know, don't you? When you're driving, if you are a middle lane hugger, then you kind of, or you should be anyway, you should be aware of everything around you, and you usually are. And you're going to know if there's nothing in front of you, really, or behind you, what harm are you doing wrong, really?
Do you think it is finable? Do you think £100 is enough? Is it that dangerous a thing for you to think maybe it should have a bigger fine even than that, and the 3 points?
I really don't think it is. I disagree with it completely. I mean, to get 3 points on your licence for something as crazy as that, when I mean, there's a lot more things more dangerous that, you wouldn't get a fine for at all. I mean, you could be on your phone, couldn't you? You shouldn't be, and obviously you wouldn't be.
I mean, there are plenty of dangerous...
for that.
There are plenty of dangerous things, but presumably this has been identified, Wilfred, as one of those that does cause problems.
It is dangerous. I think if you hog the middle lane, it is dangerous. And again, the reason why people hug it is that they're frightened of going in the fast lane, and they don't want to end up in the slow lane because they're frightened of the manoeuvring.
I don't think that's true. I don't think it's about being frightened. I think it's about kind of sensible driving. And you might not, if you're going at 70 plus, you're not going to go in the fast lane because you shouldn't be going any faster than that anyway, and you're only going to do that if you're trying to get round other people. But I don't think it's about being frightened, actually. I think Paul and I are kind of similar on this. But I think your point about how you're going to enforce it, you'd have to be followed for quite a long while before they could categorise you as this is something you're doing wrong. If you're just spotted in the middle lane as you pass one of those parked up police cars, they can't say you're doing anything wrong.
So what do you do when somebody's behind you then? Say, well, what do you do?
If I see someone coming up behind me fast and I can move over, I would move over.
OK.
But if I can't move over, I can't move over.
They
have to go around me on the outside.
No, they have to go on the outside.
The middle lane and the outside lane, if we're talking about a three-lane motorway.
I meant to be overtaking.
They're overtaking.
I've read my highway code. I passed my test.
So you've read your highway code, but you're kind of ignoring it a little bit.
No, I'm being realistic, like Paul is, about how you actually have to drive, because often the inside lane is so busy or full of wagons, you'd be in and out between every single one you want to get past. And that, to me, is worse driving.
Would you feel hard done by if you ended up with 3 points for doing
Yes,
what
I
you
would,
did?
actually. I don't think there's any occasion when I deserve 3 points, and that's probably why I haven't got
They wouldn't give you 3 points. What they do nowadays... No, they give you these courses. You go and learn how to drive. I've done one of those.
I've done one of those.
I've done one of those.
I might have done one of those.
They tend to be about speed
they
awareness.
No, but it's really, they're very, very good, though.
Maybe that's the answer here, is education. Why you need to know, because until you have a crash, you might not know why it's so dangerous.
You don't get lessons on motorway driving as part of your driving.
Yeah, that's true. Paul's, thank you so much for calling in, Paul. It feels like you and Susan are on the same page, or in the same lane anyway. Philip's in Hampshire. What do you reckon, Philip? Is it worth £100 and 3 points, or do you think it should be even more?
I think it should be more, because they can cause accidents.
OK, where's the danger? What is the danger that Susan isn't seeing, but you are?
I think the danger is that most people hogging the middle lane are not watching their mirrors at the speed of the traffic coming up from behind. And anything that if you're hogging the middle lane, anything coming up behind you then has to move over into the outside lane if it's safe. And very often that's not a safe manoeuvre.
So what
They
we're
should
talking
be
about,
over on
Philip...
the inside lane and get fined if they don't.
So you, Philip, are coming up on the inside lane and you see the one in the middle lane and you have to cross 2 lanes of traffic to overtake.
Exactly, that's the other
legitimately.
reason why they should be fined, because they shouldn't hog the middle lane. That's not what the Road Safety Act says.
OK, that's the Road Safety Act. You making that manoeuvre, you feel inherently unsafe.
Yes.
That crossing the 2 lanes, I can...
Yeah, that's
And
definitely.
I've been driving for 62 years. And
OK.
I still drive within the limits and look behind me all the time.
Have you ever been in a near accident as a result of somebody in a middle lane?
No, fortunately, because of my driving skills, the answer's no to that one.
OK. Right, thanks for your call, Philip. Richard's in Kent. What do you reckon, Richard? Is it that big a deal? Should we have a bigger fine, possibly, even, for middle lane moochers?
Well, you don't get fined anyway, apparently. I don't think... Up until 2 years ago, I was in a conversation with a retired police officer who said up until 2 years ago, there hadn't been a single prosecution for it anyway.
Oh, so are we talking about...
And it is dangerous.
Are we talking about a fantasy fine that's unenforceable because the police will never catch up with you? They'll never prove it?
Well, the police can't enforce the fines on the roads anyway. So maybe that's partly why no one's been prosecuted for it anyway.
I mean, they enforce speeding.
But it's definitely dangerous for people dithering about in the middle lane, and Wilfred's hit the nail on the head. He said that if you might get a fine, you might not get the points, but you're going a driving course to learn how to drive, and that's exactly it. The nail on the head.
Wilfred,
learning how to drive.
Are we talking about a fantasy fine here? Because Richard's saying we've looked for statistics on how many people have actually been prosecuted for being in the middle lane. We couldn't find any. So is this one of these laws? We put it in place, but actually never gets enforced?
That's a problem. Any law that doesn't get enforced is just a waste of time. But just listening to a couple of the callers to say, actually, it is very, very dangerous, because sometimes if somebody's hogging the middle lane, you've either got to break the law by overtaking them on the inside lane,
very dangerous.
which is very, very dangerous, or you've got to slow down so you allow enough distance to go into the middle lane and then go onto the outside lane in order to sort of overtake. So that's what I think people need to realise about hogging. Is dangerous. I think in a lot of people's minds it isn't, but actually it is, because it's forcing manoeuvres on drivers that they shouldn't be forced to do.
I think your point about a course to understand. I mean, all of these things are about understanding, aren't they? And certainly the numerous speed awareness courses I've been on really helped. Susan is in Tyne Weir. Are you a middle lane hogger, Susan?
Definitely not. We have a truck and trailer, and we're not allowed to use the third lane on a motorway.
All right.
Okay.
Neither are Arctic lorries. So anybody with a caravan, Arctic or trailer cannot go in that third lane. So people that hog the middle lane are an absolute nightmare. And also we have to decrease speed, going up hills and things like that. And I just think it's very irresponsible and very selfish.
So you get that feeling of fear when you see someone in the middle lane that's not overtaking. You feel that the motorway is inherently a less safe place because they're there?
Definitely, yeah.
OK.
I didn't think of those, but yes, because for you guys, you have no choice. You've got to wait for that person to come out, because you can't go into the fast lane because you're breaking the law. So.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm going to I would be lying if I said, Susan, I don't do it from time to time, but I feel like today this has been our awareness course. I think we've all passed.
We've all learned something.
We've all learned, we've all moved on a little bit. Thank you so much.